Hey, it's Coach Danny, and today I'm going to be showing you my top tips for learning the basics of basketball in your PE lessons. Firstly, we're going to be looking at the basics of dribbling and the fundamentals you need to know to keep the ball controlled. And then we're also going to have a look at some layups and shooting, and I'm also going to show you a few fun tricks that you can practice on your own as well. Let's get into it. Now, dribbling is the first and most important skill we need to know, and we use it when we're moving around with the ball around the court. To start with, we're going to be bouncing the ball on our fingertips, okay? Not on our palms, but on the fingertip parts of our fingers. So here we go. Using one hand, we're just gently pushing that ball and bouncing it. If I was using my palms, I'd be slapping the ball. You don't have a lot of control, so I want you to use your fingertips just to bounce it. I don't want you bouncing it too high or too low. I want you bouncing it about the height of your hips. So about hip height, you're just using your fingertips. The second thing you might see me doing already is I'm staying low with my knees bent. I'm not standing up straight and bouncing. I'm staying low with my back straight, knees bent, and my legs are a little bit wider than my shoulders. So here we go. You can see, just using my fingertips, and you can also practice with your other hand. Just pushing that ball. And the last thing I want you to practice, you're now low, you're using your fingertips, is as much as you can, keep your head up. Why do you want to keep your head up? So you can see what else is going on in the game and you can see where to go or who to pass to. So if you can, keep your head up while you're bouncing. It's a little bit harder, but it's good training if you can keep your head up as best you can. A good way to practice that control is what we call windscreen wipers. This is where with one hand I'm going to be bouncing the ball across my body in a V motion from left to right. So using my left hand first, staying low, using my fingertips, windscreen wipers across my body. Knees bent. If I can keep my head up. And when you're getting good at that, you can also switch hands. You can see I'm rocking with the ball as well as it moves from left to right. The next way are crossovers. Similar, the ball's going to be bouncing in a V motion, but this time from my left hand to my right hand. Again, knees bent, staying low, head up. Here we go. Using your fingertips from left hand to right hand. Now there's a few very important rules that we need to know when we're dribbling. The first thing is we cannot carry the ball. That means that when we bounce the ball, we cannot carry the ball by lifting it from underneath or to the side of the ball. All right, so if I was to bounce the ball by lifting it up underneath it, that's called a carry and we can't do that. Or if I'm too on the side of the ball like here, as I bounce, we call that a carry. So we need to make sure that when we bounce, our hand is over the top of the ball, over that top half. The next important rule we need to be aware of is the double dribble. Now what this means is that you cannot bounce the ball with two hands at the same time. And what you also cannot do, you cannot bounce the ball with one hand, catch it, and bounce it again. That will be called a double dribble, and you're not allowed to do that. The next rule you cannot break is called the travel. If you're dribbling with the ball and you grab it, you cannot take more than 2 steps before you shoot or pass it on. Layups. Now layups are used when we're dribbling towards and near the net and we leap up off of one foot, we put the ball into the basket by bouncing it off the backboard. You can either do that from the left side or the right side. We can start practicing these at a cone near one side of the net. Now at the moment I'm on the left side, so for this we're going to be stepping with my right foot. I'm going to be jumping and leaping up off my right foot, and I'm going to lift my left knee high into the air, and with the ball in my left hand I'm going to try and throw it off the backboard into the hoop. So starting at the cone, I'm going to take a step with my right and put it in. So you can see there I'm lifting my left knee really high, step and put it in. So we're doing opposite hand to opposite knee. So if I'm stepping with my right leg, I'm going to put the ball in with my left hand. Here we go, one more here from the cone, step and off the backboard. Now there are two ways you can put the ball off the backboard into the net. You can either roll it, having your hand underneath the ball and flicking it up, or you can simply have the ball above your head and pop it in, both times off of the backboard. So now from the right side, we do it opposite to the left. So this time we're going to step with our left foot. We're going to lift our right knee up high as we leap, and using our right hand, release the ball off the backboard. So starting from the cone, step with the left and in. When you lift your knee up, it helps you get nice and high. So remember, opposite. If you're stepping with your left, you're lifting your opposite knee up with that opposite side hand. Once you've practiced that layup pattern, you can then progress it to moving further back with a dribble. So now I've got a cone about 6 or 7 meters away. We're going to start at the cone, we're going to dribble up to the net, do our layup, time it right, and get it in the basket. So here we go, from the cone, little bit of a dribble, keeping your head up, and popping it in. And from the right side, you can then progress it even more and make it a little bit challenging. This time you dribble, bounce it through your legs, and then lay up. So here we go, we've got a dribble, bounce through your legs, and into the net. From the right side, or you can put in a body wrap. So you dribble towards the net, wrap the ball around your body, and then flick it up into the basket. Here we go. Dribbling around your body and up. So a few extra key pointers for the layups. Firstly, we're aiming to bounce the ball off the backboard in the top corner of that backboard square. So if you're coming from the left side, you can see that top left corner, that's where you want to bounce the ball from. And if you're coming from the right side, in the top right corner. The next pointer is that you need to make sure that you're not too far away from the target. If you try and do a layup from really far away, it's going to be hard to bounce it correctly into the basket, and instead the ball is just going to bounce hard off the backboard and totally miss the net. And lastly, we need to make sure we lift our knee up nice and high. It's going to help us get height, and we need to make sure that we stay nice and straight in the air. We don't want to be falling back or leaning too far forwards as we do the layup. We usually use both hands to shoot the basketball into the net. but we're going to start by practicing with just one, which is our strong hand. And your strong hand is the hand that's going to help direct the ball, keep it nice and straight. So to start practicing, I'm going to stand at the cone about a meter away from the net. And I'm going to hold the ball out underneath with my strong hand. So my hand's underneath the ball, out in front, and then I'm going to try and balance the ball over my shoulder, and my elbow is pointing to the target. When you're here, you're just going to try and flick the ball up into the net. So what we're doing when we're practicing this strong hand shot is trying to get the ball to roll off of your fingers, and you're trying to flick your wrist as you do it. So as you shoot, you flick your wrist, the ball flicks off of these fingers here, and it creates backspin, and the backspin helps the ball to bounce off the backboard into the net. So here we go again. We're just going to hold the ball out, bring it over your shoulder, flick your wrist. Should get a nice backspin into the net. So once you've practiced that flick with your strong hand, we're then going to add in our legs as well. We use our legs to help us get power and to also shoot the ball nice and high in a high arc. We don't want to shoot the ball low. It's going to get harder to get in that basketball net. So we need to shoot the ball nice and high, use your legs and your wrist at the same time. So here we go, holding the ball out, turn it above you. I'm here, I bend my knees a little bit and flick into the net. You can then progress to the full shot. Now with the full shot, we use both hands. We have our strong hand at the back of the ball, and our other hand is a guide, and it goes on the side of the ball. So we can put that all together now facing the net. We're going to start with a strong base. A strong base is legs slightly wider than shoulder width apart, our knees slightly bent. Okay, we've got to hold out that ball up here. Now with your elbow, we don't want our elbow pointing out to the side. We want it nice and tucked in. Okay, so here we go, facing the net. We're gonna aim it up, use your knees and flick your wrist. Now it's really important that when you're shooting, you flick that wrist and your fingers point down. So as you release that ball, your fingers point down to the ground. Some key pointers we need to look out for when we're shooting. Firstly, we want everything in line. So when we're getting into that shooting position, you want your shoulder, elbow, hips, and knee all in a nice line. The second thing is we want to get a lot of backspin on the ball. By getting backspin on the ball, it's going to help bounce off the backboard into the net. And thirdly, we need to make sure we get a nice high arc on the shot. If we shoot a low arc, it's harder to go in. So a nice high arc when you shoot, remember using your knees is going to help your success. Once you've worked on that, you can then practice shooting with jumps, and you can also practice at different areas around the court. So a free throw is a standing shot after you have been fouled. A jump shot is when you jump up in the air and then shoot just before you land. A three-point shot is when you shoot from behind the three-point line. And a fadeaway shot, which is a tougher shot, is when you shoot as you jump sideways or backwards. Hopefully you've enjoyed this session and I've given you a few pointers for you to work on in your basketball PE. Now, if you're a teacher and you're looking for some more complete lesson ideas, check out my resources in the links. I've got some lesson plans for grades kindergarten to grade 3, and then I've also got basketball from grade 3 to 6. Check those out in the links below. Make sure you subscribe for some more PE teaching ideas.